Bro, really? The Atlanta Falcons? Kirk Cousins as an Atlanta Falcon. How do we feel about that? How are we feeling? Me personally, I love it for Kirko. All right, he needs a change of environment. He needs a change of scenery. That's evident. He just tore his Achilles halfway through the season. Not even halfway. Didn't quite make it that far. But obviously didn't have the immaculate recovery that Aaron Rodgers did. But he's still going to be a good, solid quarterback. He never relied on his mobility, though he can scramble to avoid if he needs to. But that wasn't his game. He was getting a lot of blame in Minnesota, which I don't think was very warranted. I'm still a Kirk Cousins guy. I still am a fan. I think that he needs his flowers. I think he needs to be able to go show what he can really do. Obviously, he's not the big time quarterback a lot of people want him to be, especially with receivers such as Justin Jefferson there. And it's okay. It's okay. I really do think a change of scenery is good for Kirko. All right, it was fun. We love the chains. It was good memories. He did what he needed to do. Okay? But now it's a new chapter in Minnesota. Minnesota, they don't know what they're doing at quarterback quite yet. And if we learned anything from last season after Kirko went down, the answer isn't in house. All right, they're going to have to go get a guy, or they're going to have to draft a guy, which is probably the more likely scenario at this point. Maybe they just suck it for a year. Maybe they get a Bo Nix late in the draft, later in the first round, I suppose. I don't know. I really don't know what the move is. Maybe they try and trade up. I'd love to see them trade up and get Jaden Daniels. I really think the Commanders should stick with Sam Howell. I'm convinced Sam Howell could be a good option. I don't think he was a lot of their problems. Shout out to the Commanders, just signed Austin Eckler, which is going to help as well, even though Brian Robinson had a decent year himself. So who knows what's going on over there. Speaking of Washington, Kirko's first team in the NFL, which actually gave him a chance, eventually became the starter. He played really well for Minnesota throughout most of his time there. Of course, a couple injuries hurt him. But I don't know, man. I think Kirko was a good move for the Vikings. Again, yes, it is time to move on. I'd love to see him go get a rookie quarterback. There's really not many great options left at quarterback out there. Of course, they could maybe try and trade for their in-division rival, Justin Fields. He had been shopped around a little bit, but I don't think they're going to offer much for Fields. But I could see the Vikings giving up a second round for Justin Fields, and I think that might be a good fit for him as well. So I'm not against that entirely. But really, Gardner Minshew was, he signed with the Raiders. Mac Jones got traded. I don't really know what the answer is for the Vikings, right? Justin Fields is running out of options, right? His two leading candidates were the Steelers, which now have Russell Wilson, and of course the Falcons, who now have Kirko. Um, who knows what the Broncos are going to do? Of course, there's a lot of quarterback carousel movement going on, and we're going to see. We're not really going to be finished seeing all the movement until at least after the draft, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen here? A lot of question marks, right? So let's focus on Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons, something that we do know. All right, Kirk Cousins is still a good quarterback, though he's 34, coming off an Achilles injury. That's old. All right, I saw an Instagram meme that said, they just paid 80,000 for an '07 Blazer or some crap with 150,000 miles on it. Right? Kirk is definitely towards the end of his career. All right, no questions asked. But he hasn't gotten his Super Bowl. He's still hungry. He's still determined. He's still recovered. He's rehabbing really well. He's getting after it. We know that. And the Atlanta Falcons have weapons. Okay, they have Kyle Pitts. They have Drake London. They have Bijan Robinson. We know that. All right. There is a good core there. They have Cordell Patterson. They have Tyler Algier. Right. We know that. Okay, this is a good team. They just didn't have the right pieces in place. The quarterback play was obviously a big issue, but paying Kirk Cousins $180 million over 4 years and 100 of that being guaranteed, that's crazy. Crazy money for Kirk Cousins. I'm a big Kirk Cousins guy, but I think that's crazy. Okay, Raheem Morris, right? Is that his name? The new coach there. I'm slacking right now. But he is determined that this roster can get deep in the NFL playoffs if they just have a good quarterback. So that's exactly what front office went out and did. They got Kirk Cousins. GM's trying to save his bacon because he watched Arthur Smith just walk out the door not too long ago. Could the same thing be going on for the GMs if this doesn't pan out? Absolutely. Kirk Cousins is this GM's last straw. But let's see what happens, right? Because they have weapons. Now their defense, getting a little older, right? Grady Jarrett is getting a little older. Calais Campbell has moved on, I believe, right? Okay, so not everything is in place. Jono Smith moved on, right? I mean, he's been moved on. I don't even know why I brought him up, but you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. Okay, this team really has some options. They have some of more cap space they can play with. They also have trade pieces such as AJ Terrell, maybe Jeff Okuda. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing names out there right now. They have moves to make, but this is a team that can easily make the playoffs next year because just upgrading the coach was enough for me to say the Falcons are the new favorite to come out of the NFC South with how horrible that division is. Right? They had the 2-14 Panthers. They had the Saints who barely missed out because they couldn't beat the Bucks one time. And the Bucks, of course, made the NFL playoffs. All of these teams with less than 9 wins or less. All right, not a very strong division. So of course the Falcons could absolutely do that. Kirk Cousins is the step to get them over the hump. Though the Saints are probably going to are obviously going to try and get better. But they've cut a lot of guys. We haven't seen them make a ton of moves yet, so I'm not sure exactly what the Saints are leaning towards doing. We got to see what kind of players they are in this free agency and then, of course, in the draft. But, of course, they really don't have much cap room either, so that really hurts the Saints. And the Buccaneers, they just re-signed their guys. They extended Baker Mayfield for the future, which I think was a great move for them, and they brought back Mike Evans, of course. Outside of that, they're really not much of an improved team. They did just move on from Carlton Davis as well. So I don't know. I really think this puts the Falcons in the leadership spot, the driver's seat for the NFC South. That's not saying a ton, but it is a good move for them, absolutely. Now, with the coach, of course, they're going to be getting their weapons more involved. Kirk Cousins is going to have a great time. He knows he can just throw the ball in Justin Jefferson's direction, and it's going to be caught. Same thing can be said with Kyle Pitts. Maybe not Drake London just because he doesn't quite have the size, but he understands the speed that goes behind a receiver like Drake London, how to set him up in a good position, right? He's not going to be led across the middle and getting hit like Desmond Ridder might have done, or Taylor Heineke. I always butcher that name, bro. But I'm big fan for the Falcons, big fan for Kirk Cousins because 180 million at this point in his career, I think that's crazy. Good for bro. Good for bro. And I'm excited. Quavo's already repping the dude. They've got the ice down there. They've got Ice Trey down there. So Atlanta sports might get a little bit more entertaining, and I'm excited for that part for sure. I think it is a great move by the Falcons at the now because if you look at it just right now, it definitely improves their roster. It definitely improves their team. Like I said, puts them in the driver's seat for the NFC South, and definitely could win a round or two. I mean, the Buccaneers won a round, and they had a good fight in the second round as well. So I think they could do it. I think the Buccaneers are very passable, and I think the Falcons could replicate the success, if not further that, just a little bit. Does this make them a Super Bowl team? No, I don't think so. The Niners are still better, but who knows? Who knows? We still have a long off season ahead of us. The dominoes are starting to fall, and it's been way fun. I do think right now it makes them a better team. It's going to get more playoff success. I don't know if they'll make the Super Bowl, like I said, but Falcons just need some morale than anything, right? Keep the young guys there. I would have liked to see him draft a quarterback or at least get a Justin Fields just because it would have fit their timeline with Kyle Pitts, with the Bijan Robinson, with Drake London a little bit more. And again, because I don't think Kirk Cousins is enough to get to a Super Bowl, but it's exciting at least. So let's see, and we'll see exactly what Kirk